A night out with friends or coffee with yourself?
Night out with friends.
Any favorite one from Roja?
My personal favorite of A.R. Rahman is Dil Se. Promise me you won't repeat this question to anybody else.
What was the ratio of technical and the subject matter expert?
They're both technical. Subject matter expert is also technical. Coding is hands-on.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was...
So is there any specific set of skill set they put in front of you, or like any coding for any language?
They give you an option, or they give you your choice. You can choose whichever programming language you're comfortable in.
C, C++, Java, whatsoever?
Anything that you're comfortable in.
हेलो माय यूट्यूब फैमिली, कैसे हैं आप लोग? आपका फिर से स्वागत है आपके अपने चैनल बियर बुक्स में। आज फ्राइडे है और हम लोग एक अनदर दोस्त कास्ट रिलीज करने वाले हैं। जैसा आपको पता है इस प्लेटफॉर्म का थीम क्या है। इस प्लेटफॉर्म में हम लोग काफ़ी एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को बुलाते हैं, मोटिवेशनल स्पीकर्स को बुलाते हैं और वो अपनी जर्नी शेयर करते हैं, जहाँ से हमको कुछ ना कुछ सीखने का मौका मिलता है। क्यों ना एक काम और किया जाए इस चैनल पे। मैंने सोचा कि मैं टेक्निकल प्रोफेशनल्स को भी बुलाऊं जो कि आईटी इंडस्ट्री में काफ़ी टाइम से हैं और वो अपनी जर्नी हमसे शेयर करें। इससे मुझे तो फ़ायदा होगा ही, क्योंकि मुझे बहुत कुछ सीखने को मौका मिलेगा। एट द सेम टाइम जो व्यूअर्स हैं उनको भी सीखने का काफ़ी मौका मिलेगा। इसी बीच मैं आपसे एक और बात शेयर करना चाहता हूँ कि आई हैव बीन इनटू रिक्रूटमेंट इंडस्ट्री फॉर द लास्ट 18 years and I handle different types of recruitment for India, for overseas like UK, Europe, US and many more. So I have a complete visibility about the interview process of different companies. So I'm thinking to start a series of recruitment training as well. तो जो भी लोग इंटरेस्टेड हैं रिक्रूटमेंट में अपना करियर बनाने में या फिर रिक्रूटमेंट में ऑलरेडी हैं और वो चाहते हैं कुछ और सीखने का, तो आई विल बी स्टार्टिंग माई ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम वेरी शॉर्टली, जो कि आपको हर वेडनेसडे को वो वीडियो रिलीज होगा। सो आई एम वेरी एक्साइटेड फॉर दिस पर्टिकुलर कैटेगरी एज वेल। आई एम श्योर आप सभी भी होंगे। तो आइए स्टार्ट करते हैं अपना दोस्त कास्ट। मिलते हैं अभिरामी सुकुमारन से। Abhi, thank you so much for coming, and it's a pleasure to have you here. We're going to have a lot of discussion about what is happening in the IT industry and how it impacts the human's lifestyle and the job opportunity. But before that, I would like to know who is Abhi and what is your daily lifestyle?
Thank you. It's my pleasure as well being here. And I've been watching your channels, your videos and podcasts of people, and they're all very inspirational. Thanks for doing what you're doing. And yes, to answer your question, I am a very normal. It's a very normal person. I would say if I have to qualify me with certain adjectives or verbs, I would say I'm very brave, like fearless. I'd like to do adventurous things. So my day is filled with, of course, work for the most part. I'd like to spend time with my mom, and yoga is a big part of my day. I teach yoga as well, and I learn as well, and I do some personal training as well, meaning I take personal training from my instructor, and then I do some studying on the side apart from work. I read. So all these things comprise me, and I think that's it.
And one of the important part which I have noticed that you have taken some kind of aviation training or professional pilot training or something?
Yeah, I'm a student private pilot. So I'm doing I just cleared my entrance and I'm starting my ground, but I've taken my ground and flying lessons when I used to stay in the US as well. But here I have to do it all over again because of the different regulations we have here.
Why do you have this kind of inspiration to get into this training of pilot training?
So like I said, I think somewhere deep down my heart seeks adventure. I think so, or these kind of things which my heart just goes out. Like I was on the verge of becoming show jumper. Like I was going to do show jumping and all. Like I was taking horseback riding lessons.
Wow.
So I don't know, some out of the blue, my heart just calls out for weird things like that, and I keep pursuing it. With the horses, I did pursue it, and I came back to India and pursued here as well. But along the way, I just felt like I have to connect with them more, and I wasn't, because they're living beings as well, and I felt like I can't do that to them. Like I'm hurting them. I had that feeling. No, it's not the case. People just get connected and they do it often and they do it regularly and they're very connected to the horses and they're passionate about it. It's nice to see. But since I go only like once every 2 weeks or once every week for classes, I started feeling like I'm hurting the horses more than, bonding with them. So I thought maybe I'll take a break, and when I can do it more often, I'll continue. But then, to answer your question, it's just the deep drive for adventure and something that I know that I feel like I would be able to do this.
So there's no professional objective getting into just an adventurous thing you want to do.
These things start out as interests, and especially the private pilot thing turned out to be deep driving, like energetic passion, I should say, because it started off as just an interest, something that fascinated me, something that I was curious about. But once I started training, once I was, my instructor was beside, my captain pilot, he was beside me, he was teaching me. But then once I was able to do certain things on my own and started to take off, started to land with him by my side, but still on my own, it felt like very passionate. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. So I don't know. I mean, it's not about a profession or anything. It's starting to become very, very passionate. So I just say yes to this opportunity, and I'll keep going with it. As long as I can, as long as I don't feel detached from it, I'll continue doing it. So.
Okay. So since you're doing many things, so how do you get time to manage everything in one go? And how do you start your day, by the way?
So 2 questions. Managing time. So managing time is, I believe strongly that you have time for, or me, I'm speaking for myself, I have time for anything that I consider a priority. Mm-hmm. So if it's important to me, if it stirs my interest or piques my interest, if it keeps me up from sleep, or if it wakes me up from my sleep, then it gets my time. So that's what it is for me. It's all about priorities, I think, at least from my perspective. So that's how I manage time. Morning, you said what I do in the morning, right?
How do you start your day?
Start my day.
Yeah.
So for a long time, like I said, I was, I don't know when I fall asleep, only when I uncontrollably fall asleep. So that's how I used to be. Like, I continue to do what I like to do, and then when I uncontrollably fall asleep, I'll not know when I'm sleeping, and then I'll sleep. So whether it's 5 a.m. or 6 a.m., so it used to be like that. And then waking up in the morning early, like, I'm going to sleep at 6. How early can you wake up? So it used to be like that. But then I changed it over time. I've changed it quite a lot. And I read this book called Power of Habit, which inspired. I read quite a bit. I run a small book club on Instagram. Mm-hmm. So the thing is, when I read that book, something fascinating that I found was, you create a habit only when you trick your mind to do something that you like, something that you can't resist. So that's what I read in that book. So I figured I have to do something. So for some time, I started thinking that I'm going to drink chai the first thing in the morning. I love cardamom. I mean, I'm sucker for chai and coffee, but coffee I try to stay away for the reasons of skin and everything. But chai, I love so much. So I was like, okay, that's the first smell I have to get. So that was my reward for getting up early. So that's how it was. But then I realized that it was not so much as a reward. So I was thinking, what's better? What's even better that will, wake me up? Then I started teaching yoga for kids through an NGO. It's like a community lesson. So I do that for a couple of schools. So I have to get up as soon as possible, like at least by 5:30 or 6, so that I'm ready by the time they start the lessons. So because I love kids, I love teaching them, I love talking to them, spending time with them. So it's fascinating to see, no matter what happens, the thought that those kids are out there in their homes. I mean, in the home, in the sense, in the it's an NGO-based school, right? So in their school, waiting for me, and that's the best part of the day, apparently, as per what they said to me. So I couldn't sleep. So that is my reward for getting up early.
So how many hours of sleep you take in it overnight, I would say?
So yeah, like I sleep less, which is something particularly not proud of, but 4 to 5 hours I sleep every day.
Okay.
For sure. If it's
Of course,
beyond...
you have to. You have to, right? Okay. So another thing is, I was going through your LinkedIn profile, okay, and I was very impressed with the progression of your education, right? So would you mind telling our viewers about your education background as well? Because I was very impressed, and maybe my viewers would take more interest on it.
Definitely. So I believe in lifelong education. I believe in continuous education. So that's why you probably see a lot of updates, a lot of things that I'm engaged with when it comes to education and learning. So I did my computer science engineering in Trichy. I studied in Trichy. So from my 9th standard, I started coding, which was part of the curriculum. That's how I started. Like everything else, it piqued my interest, and I thought like I'll go with it as long as I feel detached from it. So that's how I started, and it was so fascinating that it found me. It kind of was my passion, which I realized slowly, and then I was like, I want to do this. I want to take computer science as my major in my class 11 and 12, and that's what I did. There was no question. I chose that. And then I knew that I wanted to do something that has to do only with, in my college also. That has to be my choice of subjects. I don't want to study anything else. I just want to study that. So I didn't even go for like, you have in engineering IT and computer science. I'm not going for IT. I want computer science. I only want like core programming subjects and computer science subjects. So that's how passionate I was. So I started learning that. And when I started, even before joining college, I started going to these computer centers. I started going to one computer center so that I can get access to computer, internet, and do my projects, because we couldn't afford to have a computer at home at that time. So I started going there, and to pay the fee, I started teaching there. So it's like barter system. I teach and I get to use the computers to do my projects. So that's how I started. And then I finished my engineering, and in my 6th or 7th semester, I got campus selected. So since then, all my education has been remote, virtual, because I believe that having hands-on application skill and learning on the job is a university in itself. Of course, because you talk to people, there's exposure. So of course, you have to keep an eye out for everything that you do, every person that you meet, because you'll learn. Every interaction is an opportunity to learn. But besides that, I continued my education. I did a bunch of certifications: Oracle, Java, SAP, HANA, and then most recently SAFe, Agile methodology. So a lot of different programming and other skill sets. But to name something specifically, I did my postgraduate certification in data science. Because that was something that I was always in hands-on software development through my almost 16 years of my career. In 3 months, it will be 16 years. So almost all these times I've been in software development, database management, building applications for database with data and for database applications. So I was always interested in data, but data science was a whole new, very interesting theme for me. So I did that. And then currently I'm a doctoral research student. I'm doing my doctorate in business administration with specialization in machine learning. So that is something that I'm pursuing now.
Okay. You said that you started your coding part back in schools, right?
Yeah.
So nowadays, I have noticed that schools are teaching coding part as well. Do you feel that this is going to be a great initiative, or you feel that there will be a pressure on kids?
No, I think it's a great opportunity and exposure. Pressure is something, if the kid is not interested, or if they have other talents and other skills and other interests, don't force them to do something when they have a gazillion other things that they want to do. But if they are into it, I think it's always better to have a lot of exposure and opportunities.
This is one of the compulsory subjects they have. They have to do it. They have to clear the test on this coding part as well. That's why I'm asking this question. I don't know. I'm a strong proponent of education, and as much as you can learn, it's good. So I'm never
there's never going to be a thought like that for me. But I see what you're saying. Compulsory education. See, there could be a lot of changes in the way the education system works and the way the grading works, and the pressure on the students' minds can change. Like there can, if it is still the case, that can change by far. But as far as opportunity, as far as availability is concerned, I think the more the better.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now that is another discussion we have. I just want to make sure that, because I talk to so many people who are running their own schools and everything, and I did see that they have different curriculums. So I thought, let me just check with you as well. Going back to your campus selection part, right? You got selected by Infosys, I guess you said.
Yes,
okay.
as I was.
So how did you start your technical journey with Infosys? What was the training program, and how did you scale up your technical skills?
So, like I said, even before I started college, or throughout the 4 years of engineering, and after engineering, even as I was waiting to join, I continued my upskilling my technical skill set or expertise by continuously doing projects, teaching students new programming languages like C, C++, Java, Visual Basic, Oracle. At that time, we started off with all these things, and that slowly kept me engaged, but at the same time allowed me the opportunity to do new projects and mentor and get a mentor for myself. So continuous engagement. And once I started with Infosys, so usually Infosys used to have, probably still has, this training program. So they have three or two types of training programs: fast track, medium, and then there's long term. Fast track is like 2 weeks, 15 days training, and then you have 3 months and then 6 months. So if you clear the initial test, they have like a preliminary test, and based on that they decide which track you train in. So I got into the fast track. So there they just ramp up you a little bit. So fast track means that you have you have that skill set, or you have what it takes to do a crash course in how to align your skill set into the corporate or into the projects or the professional world and everything. So you just do a crash course in all the technology and the coding and the other skill set that you've been aware of or you've been learning all this time. So they have a coding test. They just assess you in a lot of factors, starting from coding to a lot of like object coding, basically all about computer science. And
so after the test, they'll
decide
the
which
program.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which one you fit in. I think it's not to rank you or grade you. It's just to make sure you get the right exposure, because you cannot be just thrown into something and just go float or swim yourself, right? So it's not like hand holding, but they'll just give you the amount of training that you need. They prepare you for the corporate world. So that's a very good training program. That was a good training program. But even otherwise, you can always take a lot of snippet courses, certificate courses, free materials, YouTube materials nowadays. There's a lot of things. Whether or not it's a training program like Infosys has, or many companies probably have. I started with Infosys, so I know that. But many companies have that. So definitely, I think the initial phase is very crucial, where you have to literally go out of your way to not just I wouldn't call it upskill, but make sure whatever you know aligns with what you need to do or what is expected of you, because it's a whole new world.
What was your first technical skills you have taken up at Infosys?
So I like I said, I started with C, but I always like I said, when I was in college or when I was doing the projects in computer center, I moved to I slowly started doing Java, and I was very intrigued, and I stayed with Java for a long time. Recently, I do a lot of Python, Java, more than Java, but still, I mean, if you just wake me up in the middle of the night, I'll be comfortable coding in Java than.
But why you are so fascinated about this coding part? Because sometimes coding is boring. Because I'm from the technical background as well. I started my career as a C coding and all. So what made you to so fascinated about this coding part?
So I agree, coding is not everything. There's a lot of things when it comes to IT that it's a whole assortment of things. Coding is not the only thing. But for me, I started off with that, and I still do. There is a definite percentage of my work that involves coding. I was fascinated by that because for me, it's like an art. Like I said, in my primary school or until I was in class 10, my favorite subjects were English and history. I saw them as forms of art for some reason. Even though I was good at math, I was okay with science. Because whatever I listen, I was good at. I didn't used to listen to my science classes. I used to listen in math, mostly English and history. So I was like fascinated by art and history. And I think coding is like an art. And I feel, I don't know if you agree.
No, I do agree because
it's like music. I just enjoy it. It's fascinating for me.
Okay.
I don't know how else to explain it. Yeah,
No,
I think it's just personal.
No, I get it. Okay, so I have another point of discussion here. Like, and this is the point to ponder. Today's technological world, I can see that AI and robotics are taking over everywhere. Okay, and these are cutting edge technologies we have here. Since I'm from recruitment, so I have a lot of visibility about the current situation, about the job opportunities happening in India as well as globally. I believe by 2023 there will be a 3 million job cut. Okay, whether it is if you talk about manufacturing, robotics and RPNs taking over. If you talk about other industry like CRM, customer care, and BPO, KPO, office administration. All these jobs are taken by chatbots, right? So looking at all different data points, what do you think about IT industry 5 years down the line?
So it's not, you said 3 million?
3 million job cut overall.
Actually, it is, I read somewhere, it is based on a study by McKinsey.
McKinsey, yeah.
It's 800 million by 2030.
2030, but I'm talking about immediately
that's
next
what I
year.
read. I mean, not that it should happen. It should not. I mean, I'm just saying. The data shows that there are numbers that show that is the case, and there are possibilities of that happening. But what I'm saying is there is always opportunities. There's always alternatives, and there's always We were in this scenario in the I think when I say we, all of humanity, where we were in that scenario in the 60s, 1960s, late 60s, and even prior to that, if you go back in time, in history, I should say, the Great Industrial Revolution and all that in the late 1700s. So this was the threat that was always there, and we have been it has been happening in cycles. That is the norm, and we cannot stop that. We cannot stop progression. We cannot stop automation. And I think things are transforming. If I have to say, for example, project management was a thing years ago. Now the role of project manager, probably the title or the description is not the same. Now there is something else called, say, program management. Same thing would apply for what kind of? I mean, there are similar roles which transformed in their name and shape, which transformed in their roles and responsibilities. They expand and they do more impactful things, more intriguing things, so interesting subject matter, and they upskill themselves and upscale themselves to do different things than what they were doing initially. So I think there is always a transformation, even if there is a cut, like you mentioned. It can also be a transformation. There will be opportunities, and that's how we've been past all these years. The way I look at it, it's opportunity to grow, it's opportunity to do better things, newer things. And I think people, like humans, even though chatbots take up, even though that happens, we'll have better opportunities and better things to do.
But if you see, if you talk about, in my view, I can just tell you very upfront, there will be a job cut in software engineering as well because of the SaaS and AI. Because right now, we have such a great algorithm where you don't have to even code. You can simply put the things and they will give you the complete code, and you can just copy paste and just run the things. I can give you the example, like if you talk about big MNCs, right? There's a huge job cut there as well because now they started using third-party vendors for the integration. One of the examples I have, like payment gateway. Like nobody is developing the payment gateway anymore. If you talk about Paytm and Bharat Pay or Phone Pay, they are not using their own Paytm system. They are integrated with different things. So imagine there was a time when we had 1,000 people to develop that particular software, but now they do not need those people, and it is going to the third party, and they can just integrate. there might be a question that even we have to have people to develop that software at the third party place as well. But how many people they need right now? If you see, we have like millions of software engineers, but they need only 50 people. So in my view, that will happen for sure. And I don't know, people say that, and this is a jargon I have been hearing almost every time, that learn what machine cannot do. I really don't understand what does it mean. What is your opinion?
So, yeah, it's there's two sides to this answer. Of course, one that is more practical, statistical, and technical, and there is other side which is philosophical. So I'm gonna take the philosophical route first.
Okay.
So what I think that means is that so machines can automate things. They can automate monotonous things. They can automate things that you, and also in some cases they can, like AI and IoT, they can, get past the monotonous kind of work that they have to do, and they get more aware, self-aware and intelligent and do things. But there's only certain things that they can do. There are a lot of things beyond that. Empathy, compassion, humanity. So those things they cannot do. There are always going to be more opportunities, whether it's technical. So there is no, like a machine can code, like you said, coding is not the only aspect, but how are you coding with kindness? It's going to be philosophical, so stay with me. Okay. So coding with kindness, or how are you going to treat how you're going to have empathy in your role, or how does empathy play, what role does empathy play in your role? So those are some of the things that machines can never replace. That's why I'm always saying there's going to be better and brighter opportunities the way I see it. Definitely we'll transform into having better roles. If with the Industrial Revolution we only had progress, of course there are side effects, and I think side effects will be there, but the most of it will only be progress. And if you ask about it like in a more practical sense, see, I'm not going to say that we can do this in order to solve that problem. I don't know. But I'm going to quote what Elon Musk said in the most recent interview for a similar question that was asked to him. Mm-hmm. Maybe I understood him, or maybe not, because most of the times he has, it goes over my head, whatever he says. But the most recent one that he said about the job cuts, and he said the same thing. I don't wish for it to happen, but it's inevitable. Irrespective of which part of the world you're from, it's going to, it is inevitable that things happen on that front. Mm-hmm. The governments and the countries have to plan for it in advance and see how they can, fund that area of the opportunity, the employment area, how to, not about what areas to employ, but if that happens, how to, make sure that people can make ends meet. How to pay them.
It is going to be very difficult. I must say, it's going to be very difficult for people because see, they have to have up to the standard where they can beat machines. And I was going through one of the articles. I do not remember how did I read this article, but they were saying that they're going to put a chip, inside the body of the human bodies and all, so that they can function more efficiently. I was going through. I don't know where did I read that part, but yeah, it is there.
No, I mean, that's very obvious. I mean, I'm not saying it will happen anytime like that or something, but I think it's bound to happen.
Yeah.
We'll be okay. It's not a vision. It's not a vision for me. Like, if personally ask me, do you want to operate without anything? Like, there is no phone. There'll be a day when there is no phone, there is no laptop, but you'll be operating things. It's already there. People are already working on it. So.
No, that's what. Sometimes I imagine sometimes what
it's
will
scary,
happen. What is that? Very scary. There was a movie I just saw.
But it's still cool, isn't
2050, it? 2050, cars are just flying and you don't need anything. Robots are moving here and there. They are talking. I don't know. It's a very scary world, but
there's always truth in fiction, and there's always fiction
exactly.
in fiction in truth. So you
exactly.
never know.
Take an example, we never thought of having a COVID-19 cases, and we have to sit at home and we can't do anything. Imagine, I watch all of the videos and movies. That is the part of the life, but it happened, and I'm sure one day this zombies will come out.
Okay, there's a line.
Yeah,
I'm not crossing that.
No, jokes apart. Yeah, but coming to this is one of my favorites part. Google part, like, how did this Google come into your technological world?
Google. So I came into Google's technological world, I should say, but it's been on my mind for a long time, and Google is, I don't know, like many people's dream, I think.
It's my dream company as well, to be very
Yeah,
honest.
so it was mine as well. So every 5 years I interviewed with Google. So it's 16 years. This is the third time. Third time was the charm, and I made it finally. So the previous times where, interview part or the technical part or whatever I was preparing for was fair, was okay, I would say it was fair. But the thing is, I just lost the things that I learned from what I did wrong is what probably helped me. It's not one thing that I did wrong. I did everything wrong the first 2 times. I was too focused on, the spending so much time on the technical. I mean, of course, we need to be technically strong if you're applying for if that kind of a role. So I was like heads down doing certain things. I missed out on the part where you have to do conversational coding. Like I said, empathy. You need to. There were times when I was like, "Can you please hold on? I want to focus." So you can't be doing that, right? You have to. So even though I was able to solve the problem, I didn't have that. I didn't have what it takes to crack that, So over time I learned. And I learned and evolved, and I appreciate the journey. It was not that I was not enjoying my journey. It was fascinating throughout, from Infosys, IBM. This time I think almost 7 rounds, of which 5 or 7 rounds I think I had part coding and part subject matter. I mean, your role-based technical interview. So
What was the ratio of technical and the subject matter expert?
they're both technical. Subject matter expert is also technical. Coding is hands-on. Okay. So yeah, it was.
So is there any specific set of skill set they put in front of you, or like any coding for any language?
They give you an option, or they give you your choice. You can choose whichever programming language you're comfortable in.
C, C++, Java, whatsoever.
Anything that you're comfortable in. I chose Java. You can't do pseudocode. You have to actually do actual coding.
Actual coding.
So yeah, even up to much senior levels in Google, I think you do have you have a coding round if you're in that realm. If your area of work, if your job pillar aligns to engineering, or if you are part of that job, role, you have to do coding as part of your interview, no matter what your role is. Yeah.
So no matter even you are project manager, no matter you are.
No. That's what I'm saying.
Technical project manager for that matter.
No, they won't be coding. So that's what I'm saying. If you're aligning to the engineering ladder, or engineering thing, you will have to code.
Okay. So it is more like a real statement to do the coding. Like you always get set of functional information, like this is what I need, or this is what I need as an outcome. So how did they put the questions in front of you? Not exactly the same question, but can you give me an example of one of the questions when it comes to the coding part?
Coding part? No, there are proper programming questions. So they'll be asking you a question, expecting an answer for this. They look at your approach as to how you're solving it, how well you're able to express yourself, and then you give them your solution and why you think that approach is the best. Is there any other options? Are there corner cases? So there are like even videos that Google has made. I think there's one where they do a mock interview with a current Google employee, and an interview they just role play, and they actually do a code right in front of you. They are showcasing a real interview. So that is.
So will they focus more on the right approach or accurate answers or the outcome?
Both.
But
like when you're writing the code, if you accidentally miss a semicolon or a comma, or depending on what language you choose, that is fine. But just don't write pseudocode. You have to actually be prepared to be prepared to showcase both your approach and your programming expertise. So both. So I would say focus on both.
Okay. So take an example like your position. Somebody's applying for your position in the same engineering line. What kind of recommendation you can tell them that you should have these kind of expertise to step into Google or crack the interviews?
Practice a lot. Practice a lot of programming questions. There's a lot of practice programming on whiteboard, writing on whiteboard, practice on whiteboard, practice on note. Don't just practice on code editors, because they help. IDE usually suggest the code, so sometimes you forget the syntax, and sometimes you don't. They help you a lot, the IDEs. So it won't really help in the real interview. So write down when you're doing practice coding, write it in a note, pen and paper. Use whiteboard. Definitely, there's no alternative to that. Do that. The first 2 times I did not do that. I was always coding in my IDE, and that's
so
the thing.
Be predefined functions available. That's how they catch.
Yeah. So it's better when you're writing it. It's totally a different experience, and you have to do that. It's a lot different, because when you're actually coding in the interview, you'll not be using an IDE. So that's why. And when you're preparing, don't go into just the programming part. Prepare yourself as in a well-rounded manner. Like, be prepared for every aspect, because you need to converse with the interviewer while you're solving it. So you have to practice thinking out loud. Do a lot of practice interviews with friends, or there are a lot of modes where you can. I don't know if there are free modes, but you can, arrange for or schedule one-off interviews, mock interviews online, and do that. Because practice is important. You have to have your friend interview you, or somebody that can, do that role perfectly, so that you get a hang on what you're actually going to do. So what I'd say is practice. Practice will definitely help.
So there are many sites available nowadays, like HackerRank, we have Gladiator, we have, where you can have mock tests, right? So does Google also conduct this kind of mock test, or like?
Not that I know.
No. Okay, because a lot of companies are conducting this kind of test before they come to office, and they can have the online test, and then they can clear, then they can step into it further down.
No, not that I know of. Yeah.
Never mind. Okay, you were talking about data science as well, right? So are you into data science right now on one of the projects? And before that, I just want to know, what is your role at Google right now?
So I'm a developer advocate in Google Cloud Platform. And I specialize in databases and storage. That's my area of focus. So it's the right intersection of product engineering, empathy for developers, developer advocacy, it's actually helping the developers, like in whatever when I say developers, the Google Cloud Platform developers outside of Google, the community, to use Google product, to use Google Cloud Platform and services in the best way possible, but at the same time make the product better, so that it engages the right audience, and the developers are actually able to solve their problems. They enhance their businesses using our platforms and services. So
okay, so you talk about the advocacy part, right? So are you the voice of the customer, or you just simply interact with your team? This advocacy part, I want to understand more deeply.
That's what I said right now. So it is a mix of everything. So typically my day would include developing software solution in Google Cloud Platform end to end, which involves a good amount of coding. And then there is a big amount of content creation, content in the sense like whatever we have created, whatever solution we have created, it's presented, like we have to create it in a way that it can be reused in whether it's blog or videos or whether it's a code base, code labs. So we have to prepare that so other people can use it, can learn from it. And if there is a new feature, like we try it out first. It's like using our own product, building solutions, advocating that features, and advocating for the developers outside of Google, like advocating for the developers, not the customers. They are the customers too, but developers, to be specific, because they are the ones who are actually using the product, and they are the ones who are coding, who are implementing solutions using it. So we will be determining like how our product is engaging, how our services and our platform is engaging with them, and if there is any loopholes. So basically, influencing the product strategy in a way that it is in a way that it betters the lives of developers and the developer communities across the board. And for that, we engage in development of solution like project, creating material that can be used, conferences, presenting in conferences, doing workshops.
So what is the involvement when it comes to data science in your current project?
Data science. So data science is an extension. So my project, so I said I specialize in databases and storage. So the logical extension of that would be how it's being implemented: analytics, visualization, and data science, machine learning. So those are all. So when you speak about data, or when you implement a solution in data, around data, or when you try out a new feature in a database solution or something, or a service, the next logical question is like, how can I implement data science? How can I predict something, or how can I use or implement a machine learning algorithm with this data or something like that? So that is the next step logically. So obviously that plays a vital role. But besides my work responsibilities, since I'm doing my doctoral research in machine learning, I stay in touch a lot with that. But yeah, so that plays a vital role. Like I have an awareness. I continue to learn about that, but it's not like I wake up and do machine learning models or something. I focus on databases and storage, to be specific.
So will it be a fair idea to ask few things about data science?
Yeah.
Okay. So do Python and R play a vital role in data science?
Yes, they do.
Okay, and which one is the better one by MNCs? Like if you talk about Google, somebody has to get into Google, so what they have to focus, Python more or R?
So there's not like a preference in general. They don't generalize the preference. I think it's the preference of the developers mostly. So Python is, if you ask me, I prefer Python. I have a lot of friends who are from the non-programming background for a long time, but they started learning statistics, they started learning data science, and they are naturally inclined towards R. But I see a lot of people from the software engineering background prefer Python over it. And I think Python's greatly catching up with the libraries and all that. So for me, like whatever I need to do, I can do with Python. And also one major difference that I see is, as a data engineer or a well-rounded solution, if I have to provide from sourcing the data to transforming the data, like the entire ETL process, and then doing data science and publishing the results to a website, all of these stages I can achieve with Python. So that is the power, that's the strength that comes with
Python. Do you mean that like full stack Python development, or is there any framework which we use?
No, I'm saying both. Some people use Python just for scripting, and they have other frameworks that for other stages of the thing. But mostly what I see now are people using Python for the whole pipeline, for the whole. They're just fine with it, and they're liking it. And I like Python too, to be honest. So not as much as Java, but I like Python.
Okay.
For data
science.
I
ask you, data scientist or machine learning, which one is good for the new upcoming people?
So I think it's machine learning is a subset of data science.
Okay.
So every data scientist would be it depends on how broad you want your specialization to be. Like if you want to be specialized in all areas of data science, then I think nevertheless ML, machine learning, gets inevitable at some point. So I'd say both. If you want to be a data scientist, I mean ML is a subset of data science. So.
Okay. And does DevOps get involved into it?
Yes.
At
every stage. So it depends on the organization and the team again, and the preference. So there's a lot of frameworks out there for DevOps and site reliability and all that. So there's a lot of tools and frameworks in use nowadays. But again, it's better for the data scientist or the data engineer, whoever is playing that role of building the model, to be aware of all the stages of the pipeline including DevOps. Because I think that's a skill set that companies look for these days. I'm not talking just for Google or any other company for that matter. I think it's It's preferred if you are if you're well versed in all the stages and you know end to end, whether it's ETL or it's visualization or it's data science or DevOps for that matter, whether it's framework or specific tools or languages. It's better to know the whole picture.
Okay, since you're talking about Java and all, if you see, there's a very less jobs available for front-end developers, very less, because we have a lot of AI and automation tool available. So do you think if somebody is trying to build their career in Java specifically, they should focus more on the back-end development skill set?
I don't agree with that. Like, what do you mean by there's less jobs for front-end developer? I don't know.
Like, you have UX, UI, okay.
There are a lot of
predefined frameworks is available nowadays. They don't have to do the coding, such coding.
Right.
We can just drag it and put it there, and they can get the desired results.
Yeah, but still, I think there is a layer behind that.
Little bit interaction is required. See, if you have something, then they can do the interaction. That is why if somebody is looking for full stack Java developer, right? So 80% they focus more on the backend side, and 20% they focus more on the front end side, because they just want to do the interaction with the website to design the things.
Yeah, what I would say is, see, having a specialization is good, but having an awareness of the entire process and knowing why and how things work is important.
Okay.
So it's better to be. I wouldn't say no, don't do just UI UX. No, because I haven't seen the data. Maybe I'm not caught up on that particular area. But I understand what you're saying. If what you're saying is, if that is the case, then definitely. I think it's better for people to be aware of the whole stack, like how things work and how they're connected and how they can do. Like, you should be just able to do everything. But having a specialization is always good.
Okay. So pretty much done what we discussed about the technical side of this. Okay. How do you manage your work-life balance? Because see, I have seen developers, they are working day and night. During the deployment time, they go crazy. Okay, how is the culture of Google when it comes to helping the employees work-life balance part? Or you have the similar kind of setup like it's a very hostile environment we have at Google?
No, it's amazing. I mean, culture-wise, it's I think that's part of the interview process as well. They have something called the Googliness round or the behavioral round, where they see if you're a fit for the Google culture, and I think it starts there. You need to be that person. You will have those qualities in you if you make it. It's like that. Of course, like so I'm not going to quantify that or qualify that right now, but I'm just saying they see those things in you. They see those qualities in you that make the workplace or make any place better for other people.
If I consider you as a hiring manager right now, how are you gonna check the cultural fit of the candidate?
Just a lot of factors. I would see for me, the main thing is how much you're able to connect, whether it's a technical round or it's a behavioral round or whatever, it's a management round, leadership round, presentation round. I would see that personally, I'm not talking about Google. I'm saying personally.
Yeah, that is what I'm talking about, yeah.
Yeah, now I'm Abi as a person.
Yeah, of course.
As an individual, not as a professional. I would definitely look for these things. I would see if they have, if they can have the confidence in themselves, in the answers, in their solutions, and if they're able to convey that clearly, the clarity of thoughts, and ask the right questions, or ask questions. Any question is right question. Ask questions if you're not clear. Be empathetic. Everyone makes mistakes. Be empathetic. And I look for, of course, that all these are aside from the technical skill and the things that you are expected to do in the job role. Mm-hmm. These are like nuances that I notice. And there's a thin line between being bold and arrogant. So that is something I look for definitely. Team, how good can you be as a team player, and how much it's important for you to make the lives of other people better. Like, how much do you think about others in a day-to-day life? This is as a person. Personally, if I have to do a hiring process, that's what I would do.
Okay, we talked many things about the technical aspect of Google and how we have to get into it. So we are pretty much done. So before we conclude this conversation, we have a very quick round, which is my favorite rapid fire round. Are you all set?
Yes.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. If you have to take an interview, whom you will choose? Bill Gates, Sundar Pichai, Elon Musk, or Jack Ma?
Sundar Pichai.
Because he's working with Google. Like he's a CEO, not working, he's a CEO of Google. Like,
Also because of that, and also because I can. It's a very silly reason, but he's from the same part of the
India?
world that I am from. So at least where I grew up in. So that, and and I like the clarity of his thoughts in most cases. Like I've seen him answer a few questions when it comes to a complete what do you call that, corporate world setup, like it in a setup where there are people from the legal background, people from the politics background, all sorts of all walks of lives, and he still managed to explain. There were questions asked at him, and he still managed to explain a highly technical, complex architecture and complex system in just 2 lines, so smoothly that everybody in the room could understand. And I think that takes a lot of clarity of mine. I'm a big fan of that.
So, what do you consider Jack Ma? Because if you see Elon Musk, Sundar Pichai, Bill Gates, they are coming from a technical background. They have a very strong technical understanding. But if you talk about Jack Ma, right? No idea about the industry, about that, but still he built a very, very technology-enabled, e-commerce platform, right? So why not?
No, definitely. It's not that something else is wrong with anybody else. No, I'm totally, I'm fascinated by all of them. But if I have to pick one, right?
Okay, I got it. So one day you have to wake up as.
Oh, this is easy. I always have thought about it a lot of times. I want to wake up in A.R. Rahman's studio singing for his music.
A.R. Rahman? Wow. So which one is the favorite song of Mr. A.R. Rahman you can talk about?
I think I'm going to repeat A.R. Rahman's words for this. When he said he achieved everything he wanted in that movie Roja. So all the songs from that movie, everything else that came after that is a bonus. So that's what he said. I'm going to just repeat
Any favorite one from Roja?
My personal favorite of A.R. Rahman. Yeah, but my personal favorite of A.R. Rahman is Dil Se. Dil Se Re from Dil Se.
Oh, not from Roja, right?
Not from Roja, but...
Okay, I just thought. Dil Se, again, it's a great... Yeah.
En Uire, from Uire.
Yeah. What is your biggest fear?
So, biggest fear. Because it's a rapid fire round, I think I'm living my biggest fear. Or I probably just came past a little bit from my biggest fear, or not past that, I don't know. So I'll make it really rapid. So when I was little, I always had this dream of living with my dad and mom together. I wanted to get a job and bring them together. We were living in different places. I studied in Trichy. My father's from Bangalore. So we were living apart. So I thought I'd get a job and bring them together. So that was my dream, and that was my only thought for 20 years. And half of the dream happened. I got a job when I was my 6th semester or towards the end of that. But when I just started, like right after I finished training, or I hadn't even finished my training, 1 week into that, my father passed. So that the thought that it would not happen was my biggest fear for 20 years of my life, and it's like deep rooted in me, and that happened. And no, I'm smiling now, not because I'm over it, but it's just that it's irony. It's an irony of life.
Exactly.
That becomes a fear that you didn't want to happen, just happened, flashed in front of your eyes, and I was like, no, this is not happening. So I think I'm living my biggest fear.
Okay. A night out with friends or coffee with yourself?
Night out with friends.
Would you include me?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. A dinner with Vijay, the actor, or a dinner with Sundar Pichai? And you have to be very honest with that, because you can't make it.
You're doing this on purpose, right?
Yeah, of course, I know.
So
Because you selected Sundar
why
Pichai.
can't I have dinner with both?
No,
or
only one.
breakfast with
only
and
one,
then-
please. Only one. Because you want to interview Sundar Pichai. So I think you should give a chance to Vijay, I guess, now. Because you're already talking to Sundar Pichai in one of the interviews which you're going to take anyways. Don't you feel so?
It's a tough call. I've already spoken to Vijay over phone, so I think that's enough memory for a lifetime. But if I get to meet him again, that'll be cool. But I want to have dinner with Sundar Pichai.
Okay. And
Promise me you won't repeat this question to anybody else.
no, I always do that. This is what the meaning of rapid fire round, right? You have to give a situation to people to get confused. Okay. I always ask this question before we end this conversation. What piece of advice you would like to give to new upcoming students coming out of the colleges, or someone who's trying to get into the technical field?
Technical field. So, personally, from my thought process, or what I consider is helpful in life, is to have the attitude of continuous learning and the attitude of learning from every situation. Like every situation that is presented is an opportunity to learn, whether it's a person or just a coincidence or an encounter or anything, whatever it is, it's an opportunity to learn. So keep learning. And the other thing I would say is, whether it's don't be scared. Don't be scared to do something or ask something or say something. Just do it. Just go for it and do it. And only the last thing is, only you can stand up for yourself. Only you can get you through that door that's closed, or only you can get you through that. If it's a depression that you're facing, or only you can get you through that downtime that you have. It's you. There's no other factor of motivation. Everything else is going to be momentary. It'll be gone in the same speed that it came in. So you have to be self-motivated. That's something that I think.
And after this interview, if somebody would like to get in touch with you, how they can do that? Because see, you talked about a lot of things, and you have open sessions as well, right? For people, right? So if they want to get in touch with you. So
LinkedIn, you can tag my LinkedIn link. Instagram, and I run a meetup group for basically talking about GCP databases and storage, and just how data is being used in their world, or what they think of data, anything under the sun about data. And sometimes we talk about music as well, but mostly data, and talking about how they want to extend their knowledge, and having a brainstorming session around learning new features and all that. So that meetup group, again, you can share the link for that one. It's called Datapreneur Social.
Oh, okay.
And another way is I have a book club, a small book club on Instagram. So that's another way. If you're a reader and you'd like to be a part of it, it'll be fun. We have virtual sessions, because the book club members are all from, not just
different
from
places,
they're from different places. So we only meet virtually, and we talk about the books that we read. So it's only one life. We can't read all the books out there. So that's the intention. Hear from others what they read, and it'll be fun.
Okay, so Abhi, we are pretty much done. Thank you so much for coming and discussing about all different aspects of IT world and different prospects as well. So I thank you so much. And guys, as she rightly said, I'm gonna mention everything, her LinkedIn profile, Instagram, on the description of this video. Please do reach her, and whatever you have, you can discuss with her. Okay?
Thank you. Thanks for
okay. See you in the next episode. Thank you. Bye-bye.